Right. So we see what are the different goals of these functional and non-functional requirements. So the very first thing is the requirement here is um, so it is very difficult to state precisely the non-functional requirements, and if you do not give this precise, if you do not specify or if you do not define the requirements very precisely, so then it will be very difficult for us to verify at later point of time. Okay, verify those requirements, right? So you need to somehow you need to uh, precisely define or the state the non-functional requirements, right? So usually the general intention of each and every user is that, so the system or the software we are going to develop should be very easy to use. Okay, ease of use. Okay, so they should be, I mean, you can understand within 1 or 2 days, so they should be able to learn the system, and after that they should be uh, able to use the system for whatever the purpose the software is developed. Let's say the software is developed for insurance sort of things, right? Insurance management system or something like that, right? So then, so the user should be able to learn the system within 2 days, and thereafter he should be able to process a insurance claim within 30 minutes of time, this sort of thing, right? And now the other things comes here is verifiable non-functional requirement. So you should be able to verify these non-functional requirements. If you wanted to verify this non-functional requirement, so there should have some statement using some measures that can be objectively tested. Let's say, for example, I tell you, um, after you inserting, after you inserting the card into the ATM machine, it should be quickly give you a response. The system should very quickly respond to you. I say something like this. Okay. I mean, how quickly? So it is not known, right? I mean, how quickly it is not known. How quick response the system is going to give, it is not known. Whether the quick can be for you maybe 2 minutes, for others it may be 4 minutes, for somebody else it may be 7 minutes, right? So you need some measure, right? So I mean, that is what really you need to have. Okay, so whenever you are talking about any non-functional requirement, so you need to have some sort of measures also, then only you will be able to test those requirements objectively. Okay, do you understand? So goals are helpful to developers as they convey the intentions of the system users. So here, yeah, so why we are going through these requirements, the only reason is that, so whatever the user's intentions are there or the expectations are there from the system, accurate expectations, accurately, I mean, whatever the expectations that are there from the software, right? So they should be very accurately conveyed to the developers so that, so they can meet the requirements, right? So a system goal is the system should be easy to use by experienced controllers, should be organized in such a way that the user errors are minimized. Okay, so main objective of these things is, the goal of these requirements is to, so make it very easy to use the software, whatever the or software the system that you are developing, so it should be very easy to use, okay, by a experienced controller or a experienced user. Okay, so when that experienced user is going to use that particular software, so the number of users should be, the number of errors should be experienced by that particular user, uh, or the number of errors that occurs, uh, you know that should be very minimal. Okay, let's say you take an example like this. So there is a experienced controller or a experienced user, when he is going to use that particular software, or he is going to use all the system functionalities of a particular software after getting 2 hours of training, let's say. Okay, so he has been provided training, okay, and then he is using that particular system, and then so you can observe like this. Okay, so you can say something like this: the number of errors made by that particular user should not exceed more than 2 per day. Okay, so this can be one verifiable non-functional requirement. Okay, this can be one verifiable non-requirement. I mean, you can easily verify this. Okay, so the experienced user should not make more than 2 errors when he is using the system for the whole day. Okay, so if it is making more than 3, that means you can see that so expected, I mean, so that means so the performance is not up to the mark. Okay, so this is the way that you can verify your non-functional requirements. So usually these requirements describe the functional and non-functional requirements in such a way that they are understandable by the system user who do not have detailed technical knowledge. Okay, so usually when you are talking about these user requirements, so user requirements again can be of functional and non-functional. Okay, but the requirements is provided, or the description is given in such a way that, okay, so the users should understand them first, because they do not have a technical knowledge here, right? So if you use any computer jargon or the technical terms, so probably they will not understand. Okay, so these requirements are actually defined using some natural language, okay, maybe English, okay, and you may use some tables. So I think the users can understand those tables, simple tables, right? And some diagrams also, by which they can easily visualize the requirements. Okay. Now, so what are the different problems with these natural language when we define the requirements using some natural language like English? So then what are different sort of problems that may occur? Okay, so one thing is that lack of clarity. Okay, so I mean it is very difficult to obtain the precision or the accuracy of the requirement. I mean, it is very difficult for us to precisely, accurately define or state the requirements without making the document difficult to read. Okay. So, I mean, you need to write in such a way that the statement should be written in such a way that the requirements are stated in such a way that so it should not create any difficulty while reading. I mean, so it should be very easy to understand. Okay, and at the same time it should be very accurate. So this is little difficult while you are stating using some natural language. Okay, so it is part of with the language itself, the problem with the language itself, right? So now requirements confusion. Sometimes what we try to do is we mix up of functional and non-functional requirements together. Okay, so you mix both the requirements sometimes. Okay, so unknowingly, so that is another that sort of so this will also create a confusion, right? So requirements amalgamation, right? So several different requirements may be expressed together. That is what we try to do, and sometimes we will try to do like this: you add many requirements together. Okay, we'll see an example by which you can understand very well what are these problems. Let's say there is a lib system, so library system. Okay, there is a library system, library automation software. Okay, now the requirement is written in this way. Let's say, okay, so libsys shall provide a financial accounting system that maintains records of all payments made by the users of the system. And system managers may configure this system so that the regular users may receive discounted rates. Now, if you see the requirements or whatever stated here, so it is a it is mixing up two requirements. Okay, if you see the first requirement, a financial accounting system. Okay, so that means it is very general. We need a financial accounting system. Okay. which can maintain all the records of the users after they made their payments. Okay. Now the other requirement is, it is a very specific requirement. Okay. So it is not a general one. Okay. It is not a general one. It is a very specific. Means that, so the system managers, they can configure the system in such a way that the users will get some discount. Okay. We are talking one thing about the financial accounting system, and now you are at the same time you are talking about a discounted rates also, right? But they do not have any link. Okay, so do understand. So financial accounting system, whenever you are talking about them, so at this point of time, discounted rate, these sort of things are not coming under this financial accounting system. That means we are trying to mix up two requirements, okay, which is not really, I mean, that's not good thing. Okay, it creates confusion. Okay, so you can think of same thing again here. So from the database requirements point of view, so usually you need to have a conceptual as well as detailed information. I mean, you need to have a conceptual database design requirements as well as some detailed information about the database, right? Now, when you are describing about the concepts of financial accounting system that is to be included in the library system, so it is unnecessary to include the details of managers who can configure this system. Okay, that is not really required at this point of time. So we should be talking about the financial accounting system only here. Okay, we should not talk about something, the discounted rates and all these things should be part of, I mean, other requirement. It should be stated as another requirement. Okay, so it should not be mixed up here. Okay, so there is no relevance. Okay, so you need to understand these sort of problems comes when you are defining the requirements or stating the requirements using some natural language. Okay, now there are some guidelines for writing these requirements. Okay, so what it all says is, so you need to have some sort of standard format, and so this standard format should be used for all the requirements. While writing the requirements, you should follow that particular standard format. Okay, right? So use language in a consistent way, right? So whatever the language that you are going to use, so you try to use that particular language in a consistent way, right? Let's say you are using a word. Okay, any word you are using, right? So I mean, at different point of time, you should not be using different synonyms of that particular word. Okay, what will happen? So I mean, it will create confusion. You can think of this way. Okay, this may be one example, right? So your language should be very consistent. Okay, so I mean, it should not leave it should not leave different contradictions. Okay, at different point of time. So whatever the uh, the vocabulary that you are using, okay, so that should be used, vocab should be used consistently. Okay, should for desirable requirements. So it should be used for all the mandatory requirements, whatever the requirements are there, so it can be used to define. Okay, use text highlighting to identify key parts of the requirements. Okay, use text highlighting to identify key parts of the requirements. So while writing your requirements, so sometimes you can use some highlighter. Okay, so through which you can highlight whatever the important parts of that particular requirement. Okay, so it will help you in understanding very easy. Avoid the use of computer jargon, right? As I told you before also, right, you should not be using any computer terminology here. If you are using a computer terminology, probably the user will not understand. Let's say if you say plain text, in case of if you say plain text, in terms of when you are talking about any web page design or in terms of web page technology or web technology, so if you say frame and plain text, so people so probably they may not understand this. What is a frame in the context of web design? Okay, and what is a plain text, they may not understand, right? So that is what usually, because users don't have any computer. I mean, they do not have these technical skills, right? At this point of time. So you always try to avoid this computer jargon. So you need to use very simple natural language so as to state your requirements. So these are the various guidelines. Okay. Now, so before also we have already discussed about this system requirements, right? So it's a more detailed specification of the system functions, right? Or the services or the constraints. Okay. Now this will be actually mostly this will be used by the the developers, right? Because it is a more specification. We have seen also an example of opening a file from the computer, right? Or accessing the software should allow you to access a file. So that is what the example we have seen there, right? So in that case, we have how the user requirements and system requirements can be defined. We have seen, in the previous lecture, right? So that is what. So they may be incorporated into the system, right? Now there is a requirements and design. So usually whenever we are talking about requirements and design, they go, they go hand in hand. Okay, so they go both hand in hand, right? So I mean they are very closely, they are very close to each other. They are not inseparable. Okay, so whenever you are talking about any requirement, so exactly it should state what the system should do. I mean. What are different services the system should provide to the user. Okay, that is what exactly requirements. But when we are discussing, when we are talking about design, actually it should describe how it does. Okay, how these particular requirements can be solved. Okay, how it can be developed. Okay, how this I mean whatever the tasks or the services the system is going to provide to the user works. So that sort of things will be part of design. Design means always how part. Okay, whenever you are talking about the requirement part, it should be what. Okay, what and how you need to understand, right? Now so usually in practice, so we see these things. A system architecture may be designed to structure the requirements. Okay, so there may be a system architecture. Okay, so designer who may be going to structure out all the requirements. Okay, I mean in what way we need to fulfill all the requirements, right? I mean, let's say we have thousands of requirements, right? So which requirements should be developed part of which component, this sort of thing, right? So that's the architecture point of view, right? So usually the architecture, so they may be used to structure the requirements. So the system may interoperate with other systems that generate design requirements. You can see something like this when we are talking about architecture. Okay, so maybe as I told you, one system or there are various subsystems also, you can say in terms of various subsystems, right? So one system is going to interoperate with other subsystems, okay, or one system is going to interoperate with other systems, right? So now, so that particular system may have some design requirements, right? So maybe you have a requirement here as well as you have some design requirements with the other system also, right? So now you need to think of, right? So that is the reason why they both you need to think both hand in hand. Okay, so the use of specific design may be a domain requirement. Okay. Okay. So now you see, according to the domain where the software is being used, right? So you need to have a specific design also. Okay. Let's say if it is as I told you, banking application, so maybe you need to have a client server design, okay, or distributed system design, okay. So this way you can think of. So it is all, so a specific design may be a requirement of that requirement for that particular domain. Now, this whole requirement engineering process can be shown through this type of flow diagram. You can see, understand. So that very first you have a feasibility study. After going through this feasibility study, so it is going to generate out a feasibility report, right? And once the feasibility study is done, right, and then actually we are into requirements gathering. I mean, we try to gather the requirements, and then we realize, we analyze these requirements, and then finally we specify these requirements. Then what is that output comes here is a SRS document. The output comes here is the final deliverable is a SRS document, right? So these are the various activities. Okay, so part of this requirement gathering, what we try to do, so we try to understand fully the user requirements. Okay, so that is the reason why we try to gather the requirements as much as uh, you know so we try to gather all the requirements of the system, okay, through proper discussion with the user, right? We will talk about that. So part of requirement analysis, what we try to do, we try to, after the requirements are gathered, now these requirements, whatever the requirements they have, right, so they will have certainly many inconsistencies. Okay, I mean, they leave many contradictions. At one point of time they are saying something, at the other point of time again they are contradicting the statement what they said in the past. We'll see an example of it. Okay, so how these inconsistencies are in later slides, right? And if at all any anomalies are there, if at all any ambiguities are there, right? So we try to remove all of this. If the requirement is incomplete, let's say as we discussed in the last lecture, so some requirements may be missing, so right, so we try to identify those requirements here, right? So requirement specification, ultimately, so whatever the requirements that we have gathered, so that needs to be documented properly. Okay, and that is actually, so once after you documented all of these requirements accurately or properly, so the output is a SRS document, software requirement specification document, right? We talk all of SRS document, separately. So main aim of this phase is to understand the exact requirements of the customer, and then you need to document those requirements properly. Okay, and it includes two distinctive activities, as I told you. So first you need to gather the requirements, and then you need to analyze. Okay, so requirement gathering and analysis is one activity, and the other activity is specification. You try to specify the requirements properly. Okay, now what is the main goal of this requirement analysis phase? Ultimately you wanted to collect all related data from the customer. Okay, so thereafter, after collecting the data from the customer, okay, you analyze the collected data so as to understand what customer wants. Okay, what customer wants from the system, so you try to establish that. Okay, find out any inconsistencies, incompleteness in the requirements, and then you try to find out if at all any inconsistencies are there or incompleteness is there, so you try to find out them, and then you try to resolve them also. Okay, so here during this requirement analysis. Okay, so part of requirement gathering, what we try to do, we gather very relevant data, right? So maybe this gathering of this data will be done through interviews and discussions with the end users. So analyst will go and have the different interviews with the end users. So by this way, so you will be able to collect the data. So let's say there is an example of a business accounting software. So right, so then what will happen? So the analyst will go and have discussions or interview all the accountants of that particular organization so as to find out the accurate requirements. Now, how to gather these requirements? Okay, so usually, so gathering of requirements involves certainly we go and observe all the existing manual system, whatever there in the organization. Okay, before also I told you, right? So if some existing manual system is there, it will be easy for us to understand the system quickly. But if there is no existing manual system, then in that case we need so much of visualization, okay, and so by which we try to establish more of the requirements, right? So and the study existing procedures also, right? If at all any existing procedures available, right, so we study those existing procedures, okay, and then discuss with the customer and the end users, okay. So where you discuss with the end users, right, and there is a phase where you try to analyze the what would be the input data, what will be the output data coming from the system. So ultimately finally analyze what needs to be done, okay. So what is that should be provided from the system, okay. So we'll talk with a specific case study, so then you will be able to understand that also. So part of this requirement gathering, so what you try to do, so study existing documentation. So if at all any documents available, right, so with the you know with the organization, right, defining all the statement of purpose, okay, why this particular system is required, I mean what is the purpose of this particular system, manual system that you have, right? So you will be collecting, the analyst will collect all the documents, and these documents whatever it is available, right, regarding that particular system to be developed. So so analyst will go and read all these documents, right, and after that what he will do, so and then he will identify certainly who are the users, okay, of that particular system, okay. He will categorize all the users of the system, okay. So is, let's say for example, for our Netris software, so who will be the users usually? So maybe the faculty, students, accountants, and then dean, director. So whoever going to use that particular software, they are all the users. Now he will categorize different users like faculty. So there are hundreds of faculties, right? So you may not be interviewing all hundreds of faculties, right? But you will take one representative faculty member, right? You will take one or two from student pool. You will take one or two from the accountants, right? So likewise, so usually so you will categorize different users, and then you will interview them so as to verify that whatever the existing documentation it is available for that particular system is there, right? So they are saying the same thing or they want something else, right? So everything can be verified there, right? So that is the way that you will be able to gather the requirements from the users. And it may be a task analysis, like a task analysis, maybe you can think of ultimately task is also a kind of service, right? It's also a service. What are different services the software is going to give us, right? So those services, you will be taking each and every services, right? So and then you analyze that particular service, so accordingly you gather the requirements. Let's say you think of something like this, so issuing a book from the library, okay. So issue book is a, let's say, one task, okay. So part of this, what will happen, so you can see something like this. So whoever the user wants to issue a book, first he should be validated by the system, right? He should be validated by the system. That means he should be a member of that library system, right? And once it is validated, then only he is allowed to issue a book. But at the same time, you can see, let's say a user wanted a book. Before that, what you need to do? So the system should check whether the maximum number of books can be allowed to, allowed for a particular user uh, should be met, right? That means the maximum number of books allowed maybe 5 books, right? Now, if the user already issued 3 books, so in that case only he will be allowed to issue this book. Otherwise, he will not be allowed to issue this book. Okay, if already he has issued 5 books in the past, so he should not be allowed. Maybe any dues available with the student. If there is any dues available with the student, then in that case, the student should not be issued that particular book, right? Now this is a task. Okay, what task? So issuing a book is a task. Okay, based upon that task, you analyze and you gather the requirements accordingly. Okay, now scenario analysis is very similar to that. Okay, so based upon a whenever you are going to handle a particular task, so there may be various scenario operations involved, right? So now you can see one scenario is that what. So in case of issuing a book, what would be the scenario here? One scenario, first scenario. One scenario can be like this. So the student can successfully issue a book. Okay, that means he validated himself, and then so successfully the book is issued. The other scenario could be he may not be issued. I mean, he will not be able to issue a book. Okay, why? Because maybe the number of books he can issue is already so the number is exhausted, right? Maybe he has already issued 5 books in his name, right? So now he cannot be allowed to issue further a book, right? So that means the other scenario here is he may not be allowed to issue a book, okay, at that point of time. So this can be another scenario, right? So now you have several scenarios tied up together to a particular task. Okay, so based upon this scenario also you can finalize the requirements. You can gather the requirements, and there is a form analysis, right? So whatever the forms or the different form applications or the forms that are existing within an organization in a manual system, so you try to collect all of those forms and then you analyze. Like let's say for our institute, if you are going to develop a military software sort of thing, right? So first, you see there is a manual existing system. In the manual existing system, what we do? So several forms are there, right? And these several forms usually we fill up. Let's say a user wanted to register his course, okay? So now what he will do? He will find out certain number of courses wanted to register, right? He need to mention out those names in the form, okay? As well as along with that, so he should ensure that these whatever the courses he registered, so they do not have any overlapping time slots. If overlapping time slots are there, that means the student shouldn't be allowed to register a particular course because he will not be able to attend the class, right? So now there may be a form, so student will be filling out all these things like courses and slot and all those things, and thereafter he will sign and then get it verified through his faculty advisor, and then faculty advisor will forward it to HOD will forward it to Dean. Okay, now there is a manual procedure, right? So now we have these forms, right? So for this academic activity, so we have this form. So likewise, we have many forms exist, right? So we will study these existing forms, right, through which we try to gather the requirements also, right? So we'll see all of these things through a case study. So now requirements gathering, in the absence of a working system, lots of imagination, creativity are required, as I told you before also. If you do not have any manual system, okay, so in that case you need lot of imagination and creativity so to establish these requirements. If there is a manual working system or a manual existing system, in that case it is very easy for us, because this way you can gather the requirements, interacting with the customer to gather relevant data. Okay, so because you actually interacting with the customers to gather all these relevant data, so you need to have a lot of experience. Okay, before you carry out an interview, I mean you should have a lot of experience of handling such interviews, right? So then it will be easier. Otherwise what will happen? I mean it will quite difficult for you again. So some good desirable attributes of a good requirements analyst, as I told you. So analyst is the one who is actually gathering all these requirements, right? So who is carrying out all these interviews with the customer, right? So he should have a very good interaction skills, okay, and also he should have imagination and creativity skills, right? And he should be a well experienced person, so in that particular area, or the domain. He might have previously handled such sort of interviews, so then it will be uh, you know good. It will be good for us because we will be able to gather the requirements accurately. Now let's say you see a case study here. So we try to automate the office work at CSC department. Let's say at our department, CSC department, we wanted to automate the office work. So maybe it involves academic, inventory, and financial information, okay, in the department. So these all activities are actually carried out by carried out through a manual processing, okay, and here the users involved maybe the office clerks, a storekeeper, and two attendants. So these are the people actually handling out the your existing system, right? So manual system. And considering low budget he had at his disposal, so I mean because maybe we do not have a much budget at this point of time in our at our department. So no, our HOD, Institute Department HOD, he can entrust, okay, a team of students, student volunteers to develop a software or this to carry out this automation activity, right? So rather we rather we outsource this sort of project to any other company. So we try to give this particular activity to our students only, let's say, because we do not have a much budget. So team was first briefed by the HOD, okay. I mean, HOD will brief out what are the various specific activities need to be automated to the those team of students, right? And the analyst first discuss with the two office clerk, like so there may be one will be chosen as an analyst, okay, out of that development team, okay, maybe one student will be chosen out to be a analyst, okay. So he will actually discuss first with the office clerks as we discussed in the previous slide. So there are two office clerks we have, right? So as to find out what specific tasks need to be automated, okay. So he can discuss with the clerks, right? So he will carry out certain interviews, right? And also he will carry out some interviews with the student and faculty representative who would also use the software, as I told you before, right? So maybe few students, or maybe he will take few faculties who are going to use that particular system. So they also will be interviewed by the analyst. So this is what actually carried out part of an interview, okay. Now for each task the user needs the software to perform, they ask, okay. So now as I told you, so after the discussion, so let's say we have found two or three activities, okay, tasks, okay, and the steps through which these are to be performed. So you try to so we try to get all, I mean, whatever the existing steps are there, how we going to execute those steps so as to achieve those tasks, okay. So that can be identified here, the various scenarios that might arise for each task, okay. Similarly, you need to analyze the scenarios also, as I told you before also, right? What is a scenario, right? I mean, whatever the scenarios, they are tied up with each and every task, so they need also be so they also need to be analyzed, okay. So that is what part of task and scenario analysis, okay. So and then form analysis you have finally. So you know analyst will collect all different types of forms that were being used currently, okay, or they are being currently used. So you try to collect all of those forms, okay, and then you study those forms so as to understand the requirements, okay. So analyst understood the requirements from the system from various user groups, right? I mean after having interviews, with after getting out interviews with the faculty, students, and the clerks. So they identified all of these requirements, and also try to identify the inconsistencies, ambiguities, incompleteness, if at all present in those requirements, they need to be resolved. Okay, so maybe they can be resolved through discussions with the user, or maybe having discussions with the HOD of the department to resolve out those problems. Okay, documented the requirements in the form of SRS document. Finally, you specify the requirements in a form of SRS document. Okay, so we'll talk about that in a later stage of time, right? So mainly, so what we analyze after gathering all these requirements. So main objective of this to determine what the system must do to solve the problem, without describing how part. So how part is not there. So here we say we determine what are different services, okay, or what we actually going to uh, get out from this particular system, done by analyst. So this is actually carried out by a analyst. So requirement gathering and all will be carried out by a analyst. Okay, so and after specifying these requirements, you get a SRS, right? And also so usually if the requirements are incorrect, if they are not correct, incomplete, inconsistent, ambiguous, then what will happen? So there will be project failures, as well as, so it will leave certainly some disputes. Okay, so and these disputes will further lead to some filing of going to court of law. Okay, so it is a very challenging task. Why it is a very challenging task? Because users may not know exactly what he wants. Okay, how software can help them, further giving many benefits in future. So those things are not known to the user. That is the reason why. And users certainly change their mind over time also. Today they might have they think certainly for a certain thing right today, but tomorrow they want to change their mindset towards that particular activity. So they may have conflicting demands. Okay, so certainly the users will have this sort of so because they do not know what exactly they want. So as a result, sometimes they do have some sort of conflicting demands. They cannot differentiate between what is possible and what effective against that is impractical. So always they, at this point of time, the user, they do not know what can be automated, what cannot be automated. So they do not have this sort of idea. So they want everything should be automated, but certain things cannot be automated, right? So analyst has no or limited domain knowledge. So here at this point of time, so usually analyst may also have very little domain knowledge, because he is not from that background, right? So often client is different from the users, right? So you should understand. So client is different from the users, because client is something you can think of, right? So here, let's say we going to develop a banking software, right? So in this case, client will be a bank, a particular bank, maybe State Bank of India, or maybe Canara Bank, maybe some other bank. Okay. Now users are the ones who actually going to use that particular software. Okay. So if it is a software deployed in the SBI, so users will be managers, right? Or maybe the clerks, or maybe the officers inside, or maybe the technical persons. Okay, so they will be the users who are going to use that particular software, right? and at the same time maybe the customers also of that particular client, okay, of that particular bank, okay. So they can be also user of that particular software. So main purpose of requirement analysis is to clearly understand user requirements. So detect any inconsistencies, ambiguity or incompleteness that are there. So we try to detect them and then we try to resolve them through various discussions with the end users as well as customers or the clients. Okay. So let's say what is a ambiguity? We'll see through this example. When temperature becomes high, start a cooler. Let's say temperature becomes high, start a cooler. So what is the problem? Do you, you notice from this statement? Can anyone tell me what is the problem that you can notice from this? Any student?
So what is high?
Sir, what is high? It's not defined here.
Yes. So high is actually a fuzzy things. We do not know. What is that particular temperature, right? So here it is a ambiguity left. Okay. So you need to understand this, right? So it is not known what is the temperature. Somebody, 90 degrees centigrade is maybe high for someone. 80 degrees centigrade may be high for somebody else. Okay. Right. So so English actually leaves this sort of ambiguities. Okay. Above what threshold we consider the temperature to be high. Okay. So that is not known. Okay. Now, what is the inconsistency? Inconsistent requirement. Let's see an example. You can understand, right? So as I told you before also, so the statements or the requirements, they contradict each other. Okay. At some point of time it says something, at some other point of time it says something else. Okay. Now let's say there are two requirements. So one customer says turn off heater and open water shower when temperature is greater than 100. So when the temperature is more than 100 degrees centigrade, in that case what you need to do? You need to turn off the heater and you need to open the water shower. Okay, water shower so as to cool down the temperature, right? So this is what one requirement somebody is saying. The other customer saying at the same time, you need to turn off the heater as well as you need to turn on the cooler. So here that the other customer is saying you need to turn on the cooler instead of open the water shower. Okay, so there is a inconsistency. Okay, so when the temperature is greater than 100, one is saying you should turn off the heater and open the water shower, and the other one is saying you turn off the heater, but you need to as well as you need to turn on the cooler. Now there is a contradiction. Okay. So both of them should say either turn on the cooler or both of them should say open water shower. Otherwise, it leads to a inconsistent. Okay. So this is the way that they contradict each other, right? And now there is example for a incomplete requirement. Some requirements not included, possibly due to oversight. Okay. Now, by seeing this example, you can understand the analyst has not recorded that when temperature falls below 90 degrees centigrade. So we talked about when the temperature is greater than 100, we talked about that. Okay, but we have not talked about that. What will happen if the temperature is below 90 degree? In that case, so heater should be turned on and water shower should be turned off. The cooler should be turned off or the water shower should be turned off, and you need to turn on the temperature, you need to turn on the heater. But this is not explained. Okay, if this is not explained, that means we this is this requirement is missed out. Okay, so we should be talking about this also, right? When temperature is 90 degree, less than 90 degree, so what sort of action should be taken up, and if it is greater than 100, then what should be action should be taken up. Then only the requirement is complete. Now in this case, in this example, so if you missed out this portion and if you talk about the previous slide statement, so then this requirement is actually incomplete. Okay, do understand? analysis of the gathered requirement. So we try to clear in-depth understanding of this software to be developed. Okay, so you try to remove all these ambiguities if at all there. So it is a very difficult task, as I told you before also. So in the case when you do not have any working model, right? So you need lot of visualization, right? And creative skills. Okay, then only you will be able to establish some requirements properly. So you need some experienced analyst, who can spend his more of a large amount of time in understanding the exact requirements. Okay, what the customer has in his mind. Okay, so I mean, if a experienced system analyst know often as a result of painful experiences. Okay, without a clear understanding of the problem, it is impossible to develop a satisfactory system. That means, so you need to understand the problem first. If it is not known, then probably we are not going to successfully develop a software which is very useful and usable, and it will be used by the customer. So there are several things about the project should be clearly understood. What is the problem? What are the possible solution to the problem? What complexities might arise while solving these problems, right? So everything should be analyzed here. Some anomalies and inconsistencies can be very subtle. I mean, even if even if we are even if the analyst is so experienced or most experienced, still some of these anomalies may escapes. Uh, if a formal specification of the system is constructed, many of the subtle anomalies and inconsistencies can detected, right? If you specify these requirements using some sort of formal system, right? We will talk about those formal systems. Actually, they are the mathematical methods, right, being used to specify the requirements. If we use them, probably you will be able to detect these anomalies and inconsistencies accurately. Okay, so that is what it all says, right? So if you're going through the natural statements or the natural language, may skip these all anomalies and inconsistencies. So after collecting this data, all data regarding the system to be developed, remove all inconsistency and anomalies from the requirements, and then you systematically organize all of these requirements to form a software requirement specification. We have already talked about this. So as I told you before also, I explained you. So when you are collecting this data from the users, right? So users have always a very partial view of the system, right? As I told you before, like if the software contains various modules, one module may be accounting related, financial accounting related, other one is academic, the other one is maybe related to course registration, right? So in that case, you see, the users of that accounting system or the financial system, right? So they will have very, they will not have any view of the registration process, because they are going to use that particular module, right? Mostly, right? So that means they have a very partial, incomplete view of the system, right? So that is the reason why there will be definitely some contradictions and ambiguities. So, and after gathering all of these requirements, the analyst should identify those contradictions, right, or ambiguities, and then that should be resolved out. Okay, so they must be identified and then they must be resolved out. Okay, and whatever, I mean, finally what we get a SRS document. So where the requirements are well organized and they are specified. Now, so what all different things that we carried out through a analysis process? So usually we interviewing the clients to, or the users, to understand the needs. Okay, and if at all any existing documents or current mode of operations, if they are available, we study them, right? We try to study we try to examine all the procedures, current procedures available. So then we convert them into the form of a very, complete requirement. So it's a very long process, and that is the reason why we need to carry out these activities very systematically, right? So first we need to intervene, and then we need to try to correlate if at all anything is there, if at all any gaps are there, you try to identify those gaps. And if required, you iterate again and again. That means you can carry out these interviews again and again so as to clarify the requirements. So here mostly what we focus here is our focus should be to find out what actually the needs of the user, right? Focus on business entities. So what is the different entities, business related entities are involved, and how these entities are interacting with each other, right? What sort of business events are involved within the part of this domain, right? So we should be talking about, we should be understanding all of these things so as to find out the exact requirements, right? Identify users and important business entities. So that is what we are trying to do. Who are the users going to involved? Who are the users going to use that particular system, right? And what are the business entities are involved, right? What sort of different business modules are there, okay? And you try to get some functional or the domain knowledge also, because the analyst is going and interacting with various people in that organization so as to identify the requirements. Doing so, he is actually gaining the domain knowledge. So interview users or get details through questionnaires, right? So those we have already discussed about those things in the previous lectures, right? So these interviews involves maybe the questionnaires. So certain questions will be prepared before the interview takes place, right? And those questions will be given to the user so that they will be answering them, right? And then from which you will be able to understand and examine the existing systems, if at all, right? Whatever the forms you have, whatever the records you have, whatever the what outputs actually comes from those activities, right? So everything need to study. Okay, maybe if there are files existing, any ledgers existing, any computerized systems also involved, part of those process, right? So everything should be studied. Okay, usually we carry out these activities often from outside to inside. Okay, so how it is outside to inside, that means we start from the system boundaries and you go inwards to the system. Okay, so whenever you are developing any system or the software for the customer, right? So first you need to know what outputs needed. Okay, what would be the outputs needed? Okay, what input should provide? Okay, which inputs we need to provide? So that is what very first required, right? And what processing should be done? You see, you are slowly going inside. So first input output, and then you are going into the processing, and then we talk about what records kept, right? After this processing, what sort of records or the files that you need to store, right? How records can be updated now. Okay, once records, how these records can be inserted, how these records can be updated, right? So that means slowly we are going from system boundary to system boundaries to inside of the system, right? So this is the way that we follow this analysis process, right? So here, so part of this, we try to identify the users and their roles, and you accordingly you plan the interviews, because so as to you collect the data. Okay, so conducting interviews is a very important art, because so you try to work work out in a particular scope, right? So certain durations you will be spending, right? So and then what is the purpose of that particular interview you carrying out? So everything should be well planned, right? Keep records and verify confirm details it with the user. That means whatever the after interview, so whatever the information that you collected, right? So then also you confirm with the user that these are the information actually we gathered. So you need to confirm with the user also. Okay, needs to sometimes prompt users in visualizing requirements, because so usually you need some sort of prompt user, so who will be able to help you in visualizing your requirements. Okay, so that is you need a very prompt user. Sometimes need good communication skills, domain knowledge, and patience also, right? So these are the various important attributes should be there with a particular analyst, so that you will be carry out these interviews, right? So now, so there is a software requirement specification. This is what exactly happened. So you have the needs, and then you gather, and then you analyze those requirements, right? And after that you specify these documents, right? Once the documents are properly specified, okay, I mean you can review that particular document, and then ultimately it is just SRS document. Ultimately, the end result is a SRS document, right? So you can think of, right, when you are specifying some requirements, and if you need some revision, you can go back to the gathering. Okay, you again gather certain things and you analyze and then come back, right? Similarly, if you want to analyze certain things, you can go back to the analysis phase. So I mean there is a feedback path you always have. Okay, so among all these activities you can follow some sort of feedback, right? And also while reviewing also, if you need to have certain activities revisited again, so you can go back to that particular activity, and then you revise certain things, right? And ultimately the final document what will be coming out from this page is a SRS document, right? So this is actually, so where you do all have various uh, so we'll stop here as of now. So in the next lecture we'll talk about the SRS completely. Okay, so any doubts so far, students? Students, any doubts so far?
No, sir.
So should I stop the lecture now?
Yes, sir. Okay,
Right.
sir.
Yes, someone is asking. No one is asking any question. Okay. So then I stop this lecture. I stop the recording now. Okay, just wait for a minute.